All right, welcome back, everybody, to Ink Intellect. I am your host, Lewis, however you want to say it. If you've been watching the show or you watch any of the episodes, you know that we talk about real life stuff, but we kind of laugh with it. Today's topic is not funny at all. There's no room for jokes. With that being said, I want to introduce my guest. You guys know Erica; she's been on before.
Hello.
And Tati was so kind as to come on and willing to share her story. And I want to say thank you for that first and foremost.
Thanks for having me. Good
And
morning.
welcome, and welcome. Um, I want to really quickly just touch on the resources. So, if you or anyone you know is in a domestic violence situation, there's a phone number you can call, which is 1-800-799-SAFE, or you can text START to 88788. I'll put those up on the show, and we'll talk about it at the end. But I want to get into this. So, introductions, lived reality. So, what does this look like in real life, domestic violence?
Erica, do you want to start? I mean, I can. So I haven't ever been a victim of it, but I've been a witness to it. I grew up with my mom being abused by my biological father.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I think it looks like from the outside in is a very silent cry for help, a silent battle that, you portray to the world everything's fine. This bruises, I tripped or I hit myself with this, or it's always trying to cover up.
Right.
Not really to protect your abuser, but to protect yourself from what could happen if he finds out that you told somebody, or most times people put you in a position feeling like either one, no one else is going to want you and you're not good enough, or watch what's going to happen if you try to involve someone else. So
Yeah.
that's my.
And this perspective, I think, is really important because we hear a lot from the actual like domestic violence sufferers, but you don't really get to hear the child's perspective, and much less as an adult. So that's really important to hear as well because I feel like sometimes women keep themselves in these situations longer than they should for whatever the reasons are. Like obviously, we're gonna go over that, but hearing how it impacts a child long term is pretty important as well.
Yeah.
Tati.
I've actually, unfortunately, been on both sides of it. I saw my grandfather abuse my grandma always. So I guess for me, that's what love looked like. Because in the morning, you could be okay. By midday, closed fists. I have a daughter now, and unfortunately, she's witnessed it since she was a baby. I have her in therapy now, and I'm in therapy as well. It's not something I talk about a lot, and I'm really appreciative to have this platform. Um, but for me, that's what love looked like. And so I was with my, we're still in the process of divorce, but I was with my ex since I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
So very quickly, whatever he was, formulating the relationship to look like, I thought that was love. He's a little older than me, so I was going to be manipulated and kind of mold it easier. Um, he didn't start hitting me till I was about 19, and it was over nothing. It was just like we had taken a break or something like that, and then we were in the car world, and someone from the car world like reached out, and even though I didn't do anything, the person reached out to me. He just hit me right in the face, and I actually like passed out. And he had a little shop at the time in Hialeah, and someone was coming in. His brother was there, his younger brother, and him and his brother dragged me into the bathroom because they had a customer walk in.
Wow.
So when I came to, I was like, what just happened? I don't even know. And I knew to be quiet because I could hear people talking. And then that's it. I just accepted it. And so now, I'm going to be 38 soon. And for the longest time, I thought that if I was sitting in a room with women, that most of us just weren't talking about it and we were dealing with it.
Yeah.
So I didn't open up about it.
Right. Yeah. And then the fact that like you said, you were with him since you were so young. The whole normalized aspect of it is a big thing. And I think that I'm not saying in every household, but for the most part, I can only speak from what I've been around. While half of me is Cuban, the other half is American. I know that the Cuban side and the Cuban culture, a lot of the older generations, this was a little bit more normal. I don't want to say it is normal, but it's been normalized, right? So we've kind of just turned a blind eye to it, and it's been one of those things. And it's crazy to me because I'll hear people talk about somebody and they're like, so and so is a good guy, he's a good person, But then you hear these types of things, and it's like, on what planet is anybody that does this to any other human being, male or female? How is that a good person? You know what I mean?
Right.
So normalizing that behavior and pretending like these people are, there's nothing wrong with it, I think is the biggest problem, right? So not so much the women themselves calling it out, but the people around it. Like you said, his brother, you know, like if I had a sibling, I would not allow that to happen and be all right with it, you know? So, and I'm sure that that exists in his family.
His dad, God rest his soul, best man of like I've ever met. Like I have his name tattooed on me. He took me in and treated me like his daughter always. That was something he grew up around.
Wow, that's
And,
crazy.
Who your
my ex.
your
Correct,
cousin?
Yeah, he's just like always been an angry person. He
Yeah.
played sports. He played it really rough. He hurt people in sports.
So he's
Road
just an aggressive
rager.
person,
He's just
yeah.
like an angry dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Something that before I forget, I wanted to ask. Did he put you in a position at some point where you kind of had to depend on him financially?
Yes,
'Cause
I was a stay-at-home mom for
so
a few
I
years.
feel like a lot of men put you in a position where you have to depend on me. You can't really leave because I financially take care of you, emotionally I take care of
Yeah.
you. So it makes it so much harder for women to leave. So
Yeah,
when
it's like
you
the fear
are,
of the unknown. Yeah.
so when
I
you are
got there,
sitting
yeah.
in a room with other women, you can't really ask for help because even if you did say like, look, I want to step away from this position, well, what is this woman going to do for you? She
Right.
can't help you. You're not going to go live in her house.
It's
Right.
funny you say that because it kind of, to segue, when I finally started sharing it, when I was ready to go, I'm not friends with someone anymore. She knew intimately the details of what happened when I decided, like, I got to get out of here. What am I going to do? And it came around to me that she was telling the other people that I had shared this with that because of the lifestyle she thought I lived, that she would eat it. Like, oh, look at, you have a nice house, you have nice cars, you have nice things, like you could accept this. And I was
Right.
like,
Wow.
that we normalize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We become desensitized,
Yeah.
and our values kind of change and priorities change, and we don't value the correct things sometimes, I think.
Yeah, I can imagine that all those lines begin to get blurred, and you definitely start to normalize things that you realize in the end were not love, which you spoke about earlier, and that's a horrible situation to be in, and it's crazy because our mind is very powerful, and a lot of times things that aren't an actual reality become like a made up reality, just because we've been in it so long, and you kind of lose perspective, like you said. So yeah, that's a lot. Let's talk about the abuse beyond the hitting, right? So obviously the physical is, right in your face and you can see it. But what about like the emotional, psychological, like and what kind of long-term things do you deal with, if you're comfortable talking about that?
No, I'm completely comfortable. I didn't talk to my family for 8 years. So
Wow.
they started kind of smelling something was up. They started asking weird questions. And instead of, facing the music or asking for help, I wasn't ready to go. We had just had our daughter. So I ostracized myself. I cut them all off. And they didn't have a relationship even with my daughter.
Yeah,
So-
that's a very common thing because the same thing with my mom. My mom moved from where she was living in Oklahoma to Miami with my biological father. And when they moved here, she didn't want, and that's when the abuse started. And so after that, she didn't want to talk to anybody. She didn't want anyone to know because
It's like a shame thing. Like you feel like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And not only that, someone started asking you questions. Now you're gonna have
Yeah.
to really own up to what's happening, and you're
not
gonna have
the
to
right
say it.
answers, yeah. And they're gonna know it's BS, They're
Right.
like, it's a cuento.
Yeah, and that's one of those situations where I'm sure you're gonna hear from anybody, get out of there, get out of
Yeah,
there.
it's not
When
that
it's
easy.
not, it's not
It's
that
not.
easy. Yeah, yeah.
It's definitely not.
Yeah, because a lot of times it's like what you spoke about. Having a financial dependency is one thing, which is terrifying to anybody. Like just walk out into the world with nothing, but the clothes on your back is. Whoever says that that's easy clearly has never been in that situation. But aside from that, you have a lot of dudes that now they're dangerous while you're around. They go crazy when you're away.
Right.
Right. So then that's a whole other area to cover. You know what I mean? Like to where now, yeah, you walked away because you want your freedom. Now you have this dude that was crazy when you were together. Now he's a psychotic lunatic when you're apart. So that's yeah.
Real quick. So you were saying because this was a part of the whole psychological portion. Did he do that part too? Because sometimes people are just abusive physically, but then I love you, I'm sorry.
No,
Did it also come with the manipulation?
Absolutely. When you say, "Babe, I love you, I'm sorry," oftentimes I'd find myself comforting him. He's like, "I'm a monster. I'm a piece of shit," and I was like, "No, it's okay," because I don't want him to get upset again, right? So then I'm like,
Wow.
pasándole la mano, like it's okay. And then it's sick. I talked to my therapist about it, but I tell my daughter, like, go be with daddy, like, be nice to him.
Yeah.
He's sad right now.
Yeah, but I
And trying
think
to,
they sometimes make you feel by telling, "Oh, I'm such a monster," or whatever. They make you almost feel sorry for them, like, "Oh my gosh, maybe he
Yeah,
can't
I
help
did
it.
at the
Maybe
time.
he can't help why he's acting this
I'm
way."
like, how can I, change my
Yeah, can I
behavior,
do
change the
better?
way I speak to
Right.
not upset him?
No, and to give you kind of perspective, obviously I've never lived this, and but when it comes to something like that, my take on that would be that certain people really do experience unconditional love, right? So you loved him unconditionally, and you even those boundaries were blurred because you genuinely loved him, and you were accepting of things that shouldn't have been accepted. And obviously, hindsight now being 2020, you realize it. But in the moment, it's like you care more about that person than you care about yourself, no matter how
Absolutely.
much harm they're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I absolutely was putting him and what I thought like what was our family dynamic first, and that mattered more than anything to me.
Yeah.
So I was, and that was evident on the outside. I was heavier. I had never been heavier, and I was heavier. I wasn't taking care of myself.
Yeah.
I was just like I was a force. Like I just forgot about me. I was
Yeah.
lost in it.
Yeah. And while those qualities are amazing in a human being, somebody that can selflessly give themselves, that type of person, because I'm like that, has to be very careful because that type of person attracts certain people.
Yeah, it's
So you
dangerous.
have to know how to spot these red flags. And I feel like this is why this is so important because cuando uno no tiene maldad, right, you don't think like that. So you're willing to go above and beyond for somebody when they're there trying to figure out how to manipulate and see how things could go in their favor. And you're just there giving, you know?
I've always heard that the takers always are good at finding the givers.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's
Yep,
and
I believe so.
there's just no boundary, right? They'll just continue to take, and the giver will continue to give.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's difficult learning to put the brakes on that and set those lines and those boundaries. But live and learn. Yeah. What about on the like control aspect, like phone? Like, did you ever deal with him going through your phone or watching your stuff? And
Yeah, so he had my passcode on my phone. I didn't like he had full carte blanche to do whatever he wanted on it. He had cameras inside and outside of the house. He wanted to know where I was with, who I was with, what I was doing when I'd be back. If I was on a phone call, let's say coming back from the store to my house, I was like, "Oh, I'm getting home. I gotta hang up." Or I hear the garage. He's getting home. I gotta hang up. And it was just like natural for me. But people were like, "Okay, so he's getting home, whatever."
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah,
"Oh,
but
you're
there's that
getting
like
home,
silent
whatever."
fear, like.
But I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I can't be myself. I have to like,
wow.
I gotta behave. I'm walking in to like a museum, it's walking on eggshells, and I gotta be careful. I don't want to break anything. I live like that, like
Yeah,
high anxiety.
And it's like, obviously, to live like that is apparent. Like, that's got to be horrifying. But on the other end of the spectrum is, man, him. Like, why would anybody want to live like that? Having to constantly be on top of and monitoring and like, what quality of life could somebody like that have? Like, I mean, that goes to show you there's something there mentally wrong. Because a normal human being, listen, I hardly want to occupy my time paying attention to the things that I have to pay attention to, much less sitting there and trying to control, manipulate another human being, and then have like a conscious awareness that love that you're getting from this person is more fear than it is love. You know what I mean? That's definitely something that's wired in that brain that needs to. I don't even know if you could fix that, to be honest with you. And if I'm stepping away from everything and just giving my personal take, any man who puts his hands on a woman, I don't care the reason, I don't care, aside from stopping an actual attack from a woman, is a coward. Like, and to go a step further, at our age, right, at my young age of 43, I believe that as human beings at this point, we should be able to resolve conflict with conversation, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Despite how I look, I don't want to fight anybody. I don't want to put my hands on anybody. Like, I want to be able to talk. And the times that it has gone past that or escalated to that, I feel bad after. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's with a complete stranger that is another male, you know? So this is something that definitely I'm really glad that both were willing to come on and talk about, because I feel like an ounce of prevention. I don't know the rest of that saying, but you know where I'm going with that.
Prevention is better than the cure. No, maybe.
That sounds like an insurance thing. But yeah, so I feel like just having these conversations, and if this gets to one person,
Yeah.
and they're able to identify one flag,
Yeah.
like that's what we're supposed to be doing here as human beings.
And when you're saying about like who that person is, the abuser themselves, I think it speaks on a little boy in a man's body, right? So, speaking from my perspective, he's someone who is absolutely crippled by what people think. He is always like he has to have the nicest things, the nicest car, super flashy, very charismatic, a good guy, like you said.
Yeah.
Everyone loved him. He was fun to be around, but like, oh, what are they thinking of me? I think they're talking about me, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And then it's like when you get home, he's just a weak person.
Yeah.
He didn't want to rise to the occasion and be who he should have been, and just properly handle conflict and have
Right.
healthy conversations. And that was affecting me. So I was defining myself as an angry person too. Man, I was a road rager. I would pick a fight with somebody at the store. Like if I went out, for the night, whatever, you bump into me, that's it. I was ready to throw hands. And now I've been away from that. And I'm like, I'm not like that at all.
Yeah, because back then you couldn't defend yourself to him.
Yeah, I was
So you
like,
were,
like a dog. You
Yeah.
know, like when you go pick up a dog at the pound.
I didn't want to say that to
Yeah,
compare you
it's-
to
it's
that,
fair,
but
it's fair.
yeah, when a dog is constantly hit and hit, when it
They're
interacts with
aggressive.
something else, yes, it's gonna bite because
Yeah, out of
it's
fear.
so
And once they're rehabilitated, they're like the cuddliest dog. They just
Yeah.
want to be
Yeah.
on your lap and stuff. And I feel the same way. My cortisol levels are lower. I was like a clinically diagnosed insomniac. I sleep through the night. I used to get shingles all the time. I was physically wearing
your
it.
body
Yeah.
was
And now I'm
rejecting
like,
all of that.
love and light, Zen, your days more important than mine. Dude, you want to cut me off? Go ahead. Maybe
Yeah.
you're going to the hospital. I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe you're
Yeah.
having a
Wish
bad
you
day.
well. Someone's
Right.
like giving me the middle finger. I'm like, deuces.
Yeah.
How many
Yeah.
years were you in this relationship for?
20 years.
Wow.
That's a very
Yeah.
long time.
I
too.
just left last April.
Well, I'm
And
very,
I
very
left
proud of you.
with, thank you. I left with trash bags of clothes. I left everything. I got my kid and I left.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Hard step,
Yes.
but good for you.
Thank you.
So, what early red flags would you say in the relationship were like the telltale signs that you should have been like, yo, this is not it?
Or if you could go back and tell your 16-year-old self, this is what you should watch
Better
out
said.
for.
Better said.
My God, it was so much time, everything.
Everything.
I don't know.
No, for her, it was such a long time from 16 to 19 is 3 years
Yeah.
that she didn't experience it. So like he built that bond and then went from there.
So I think it's a fine line, right? I think he presented it as like, I'm your best friend. And it was more like, tell me everything so that I can be your puppeteer.
Yeah.
Right? So I think now as I'm trying to date people and stuff, I see something and I think it's a red flag. And maybe it's a pink flag, right? Maybe it's not
Yeah.
like, completely coming from a bad place, but immediately I'm like, I don't like it. That's weird.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Or you're too nice. Why are you being
Yeah.
nice? What are you trying to get from me?
Yeah, I'm like,
What are you trying to pick my brain
I'm
and
like, if
figure
you're
out?
such a good guy, why are you single? I start thinking like
Oh.
that, and that's not fair.
Well, that's not fair either, because
I
Louis,
know, that's not fair.
Oh,
Louis would be the
man.
perfect example.
Yeah.
I know. And then, like, for me, I think people, that's why I don't share this,
Yeah.
right? So I don't want people to be like, oh my God, esa está loca, like, she's a head case. I'm really not.
Right.
Like, I'm like, that's just a chapter, and I closed it. I'm actually in a new book, like,
Right.
we're
Right.
not even writing in the same book anymore.
Right.
But I think it was that. It was trying to, like, be the person I needed the most. You need me more than your mom. You need me more than your family. You need me more
Yeah, it's a
than your
manipulation.
friends.
Yeah.
Like, who's gonna love you the way I do? And then I'm like clinging on to you, like, okay, that whole Bonnie and Clyde mentality is so cute. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not.
not,
Cute.
yeah.
We think it is. It's not. And so that, and like, just I think that's where I would say that's the hardest thing.
Yeah, making you
Like that's the foundation of it.
right. Him be your crutch. Him be the person that you solely depend on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's obviously, the telltale red flags is the minute somebody puts their hands on you, like it's time to leave,
Yeah.
But can I just chime in real quick on other I
Absolutely.
think red flags? I think that you can tell somebody's personality right away on how they react to other things. So someone who gets really, really angry over maybe he hasn't hit you yet or he hasn't gotten that mad with you yet, but with other people, and how is his temper with other things? I think that kind of is.
I don't know. I'm a bad judge of character, so I'm gonna trust you on that. I'm a terrible judge of character. I think that everyone's like me, and what you see is what you get. And
Yeah.
then later, I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like you're.
It goes back to what I said. Like you're You're not a bad person, so you don't have that mentality. You don't
Right.
have that mindset.
It feels like a lot of work. Like you're saying, you don't want to do the things you have to
Right.
do, let alone like control someone else's life as well.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, I don't have time to play several roles. Like,
Oh, but some people do.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do.
I'm learning that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm learning that.
Yeah. So, just for the record, if you're single, you're not crazy. God.
Could just be a good guy out there.
If you've gotten hit, you're not crazy either. Okay.
Yes, that's very
Absolutely.
true.
A couple statistics that I forgot to go over. 1 in 4 women experience partner violence worldwide. So 1 in 4.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And nearly half report psychological aggression in a relationship. So that's, again, going back to the red flags, 24 people per minute in the U.S. face partner abuse. 24 people per minute.
It's 24 too many.
Yeah, yeah.
And that, I'll just back up. I don't really go over like what I do for work outside of, this, but I'm a police officer, so
She breeds butterflies.
that's right. The majority of our calls that we respond to are domestic violence, and
Yeah.
it's an insanely and sad amount of people that I respond to, that whether it's the woman that hits the man, because that's abuse as well. That's not,
Absolutely.
it happens. There's men who would never put their hands
Let's
on
talk
a
about
woman.
that for 1 second. Out of 10 people that call, how many of them are the other way around, women to men?
I don't know. I have my days sometimes. Sometimes I'll have 3 calls in the day of all domestic violence, and all women have hit the man.
But do you think that the women, the guys calling women to man, they're calling more to avoid them getting the cops
Yes.
called on them?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
So it's a man, usually what the scenario is, it's a guy who has never put his hands on her. He knows that she could manipulate the situation.
Right.
And he is only calling
Covering his
because,
ass, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't want to go to jail if, for whatever reason, she hits herself or says, oh, he did this. Because if she's manipulative enough to hit me or hurt me, she's willing to say other things as
And
well.
that's smart on their part.
Yeah.
I get it.
And
Yeah.
so, in the majority of the time, it leads to the women being jealous, assuming that he was talking to somebody or doing something. And even if they did or didn't cheat, it's never enough to put your hands on somebody, vice versa.
For the record, are those little guys that call?
I've had really big guys call me
Okay.
before.
Okay.
That are actually, the big guys are usually the scariest ones, because they're like, look, I know that I'm going to look like I
Right.
beat her.
Right.
And I didn't do anything. And then you'll see these poor guys with like scratches, claw marks.
Yikes.
So, happens both ways.
Yeah.
true.
So why do you think that people don't just leave when the first time things are bad? Going back to,
Why did your mom not just leave? Like,
So
if
my
you've
mom
had that
moved,
conversation.
Yeah, so my mom moved here from Oklahoma, like I had mentioned. He brought her here by herself. So she had no friends, no family, no support system. He was it. He made it so that she solely depended on him. And it took her a minute to leave, because what was she gonna do? He knew how much money she had. He
no, she literally had nothing.
Right, she had nothing. She had no way to escape. So her fear was, where am I going to go? I can't call my family and tell them I'm ashamed and I'm embarrassed, and I have no way of leaving.
I mean, I was in the same position. As luck would have it, it's gonna be 10 years next month. I had cancer, so when I was pregnant. I didn't know I had cancer. So when my daughter was born, immediately it was an emergency situation. I
Oh,
started
wow.
chemo
Wow.
6 days later. I got really bad. I was stage 4, and then I had to have a device placed in me. Later on, after I was done with chemo, rang the bell, all that good stuff. I was having like trouble breathing and stuff, so I did some scans. Ended up, they left a piece of this device, and it lodged into my heart.
Wow.
So I saw one of those commercials. I'm like, oh, if this is you, call this attorney. I did back then. I kind of forgot about it because they were like out of state and they were doing work. They'd reach out like once every 6 months. As luck would have it, at the end of 2023, they called and they're like, hey, we settled. So I got a fat check, over $300,000. And I was like, okay.
This is my chance to leave.
But I wasn't ready to go just yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had an issue at work. He left his job. His ex-employer started to sue him for non-compete because he tried to go somewhere else.
Oh, wow.
And then that's it. He became lazy. He
And burned through that
bled
money.
through that money in 10 months.
Wow.
That money
Your
was all
money.
gone.
Yeah.
And then I had no escape money. I had nothing.
Oh man.
That money was gone that fast. And that coupled with him having just broken my face that Easter before, I was like, what am I doing? So I had no money. So what I ended up doing was last January, my daughter actually, I was brushing her hair for school. You know, you're looking in the mirror and she just says like, you know, Mom, you always tell me I don't have to be nice to my bullies. Why are you so nice to Dad? And I was like, oh my
Ooh.
God, I'm a fucking hypocrite. I'm a piece of shit.
Oh, but you're not.
And I was like,
at all.
I just stayed quiet, like, hard question. I don't have an answer. I was like, let's get you to school. And then I was like, I gotta do something. Like, no one in my life knows. And I try to live so authentically, but I'm a fraud. People will be like, you guys are couple goals. No, we're fucking
And it's
not.
crazy how kids
Yeah.
realize things that we don't give them credit
Yeah,
for.
100%.
And I feel terrible because I was always telling her, like, no, don't tell anybody. That's our family secret. You know, when she was little, the first time she saw something, it was crazy. I ordered pizza for him. I got there, it was wrong. And I'm arguing with him that, look at the label, I ordered it right. It's not my fault. So pissed. He throws this pizza with the box half open at me. It fucking burns me.
Oh,
The
jeez.
pizza sauce, I have pizza sauce, cheese all over me, the couch, the sofa. I'm crying. He's standing over me telling me, you better fucking pick it up. He spits on me. She's 3. She sees that. And I'm like, oh, what do I do? Like 2 days later, she's at her grandparents' house and she's like trying to tell the story. And I was like, no. That was Netflix. We were watching a movie.
Wow.
And I started bullshitting. And then
Yeah.
I was like, I'm harming my kid.
Yeah.
You know, I started realizing when she asked me that question. So I got a second job on a Wednesday. That Saturday, I fucking packed my shit. I left.
Yeah.
For you.
And I was literally last year, I was homeless. Like I was living with family. God bless them. I had brought them back in my world.
Amen.
My mom, I was like, Mom, hi. Haven't
Help.
talked to you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I need you. And my family and my friends were an incredible support system because I had never called the cops. Nobody was helping me. The cops were, I mean, in my experience, they were terrible. They were like,
Of
why
course,
didn't you
yeah.
call us? We're not going to believe you. And I was fighting for my life. I was working 2 jobs. I was trying to start over. And now I bought a condo for myself.
All
I'm
right.
back in
Amazing.
school.
Congratulations.
I have a flexible schedule. I pick up my daughter every day. And it's like, it's just crazy how life has changed. And I wouldn't have thought that. But when I finally shared with one friend, I just told her, like, don't tell anyone because I'll end the friendship. I'm not ready and I got to plan this out. I remember calling her when he broke my face. And I was like, hi, I know I've never told you. I'm going to send you some pictures. I have to delete them. I need you to save them. I don't know what's going to happen next. I might not make it through the night. And I went to sleep in another room and I put my daughter's dollhouse against the door in case he came in through the night. And in the morning, he went to work and I had my friend meet me at the hospital and they did an x-ray and I had a broken jaw. And then I was like, fuck, what do I do? So we started calling places and we ended up wasting money and time all day long, a different dentist that couldn't help me. And then she had the bright idea, go to Nova Southeastern to the dental school. And a professor helped me. He's like, go to the hospital. I'll meet you there. We're going to do surgery. So then I have to text my husband and I say, hey, I wasn't being dramatic. It's really bad. I can't close my mouth. I need surgery. And he's like, fuck. You know, and then he's getting angry. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
now he's
oh
mad
my
because now
God,
he
like,
has to
what am
go
I
through
going
all
to
this
do?
whole
Like you
thing.
can't win.
So
Yeah.
then I get to the hospital and I bullshit. I told them that shit had happened on the night before on Sunday. And I told them, you know, I was at a pool party and I got hit in the face. Somebody jumped in the pool. And they were like, but he's right next to me. He's controlling every word that comes out of my
Of
mouth.
course. I've seen that.
So then, so I had to do surgery. I had to stay a couple of days in the hospital to make sure you're not throwing up and stuff because they wire your mouth shut. And now I have a plate in my jaw, you know, and I was like, fuck, man. It just kept getting worse.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's going to fucking kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's 6'7", you know.
Jesus.
I'm tall. I'm 5'10". He's still towers over me.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
6'2". 6'7" is huge.
That's huge.
He's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
And when he's angry, man, he could just take on a whole team of football players like blind fury. So I ran for my life, you know. And I went to my uncle because my father's not in my life, and I was like, help me.
Yeah.
You know, my uncle's like, you're safe here. Like, no one's gonna step foot on my driveway.
Yeah.
And I trusted it, and I slept through the night, that first night, you know. It was
Jeez.
crazy.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Wow,
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
me
no, that's rough, yeah.
waterworks over here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
No, at all.
But
Jeez.
you touched on, like you said, God, and I feel like I'm sure for a lot of people, if you're of the faith, you feel like you have to try to keep your family together, right? And it's biblically, we're not supposed to divorce. We're supposed to work and fight. But I want anybody listening to understand that God does not call anyone to remain in bondage disguised as love. Like, that is not a thing. That is definitely grounds for a divorce, to leave, to walk away. So by all means, like, that is not godly. That is not godly behavior.
No.
That is not. So that's not something that needs to be accepted or coddled or pretend like it's all right. Like, that has nothing to do with God. When would you say, like, healing really started for you? Because obviously when you leave, you're still dealing with the trauma of everything going on. But when did you really say that, like, finally you felt like, okay, I'm starting to work on me and get back to me?
It was hustle time when I left, right? Like I had to make sure that I could afford
Right.
living.
Yeah, you almost don't have time to process
Yeah.
what's going on.
And I had to make sure I was still like a good employee at work. I needed to keep my job more than ever. And I had to schedule cry times, right? So like I would go take a shower and I'd cry. My daughter would walk in and I'm like, because I'm trying to
Yeah.
show her like this is the better life,
Yeah.
It was really when women in distress reached out because they, when you get I got a restraining order. So when you do that, women in distress reached out, and I was very lucky. I didn't need a lot of financial resources, so I didn't want to exploit that, that they were helping as much as they were offering. But I tapped into the therapy for my daughter, and then when the lady would come to the visits, her and I would have conversations, and I realized that I needed help too, not
Yeah.
just my kid. My kid, of course, I needed her to be good. So I seek the help of a therapist, but I didn't start that till this January, so not even a full year. And man, my therapist, love that guy.
Yeah.
Like, my God, I talk about him like he's my bestie. I'm like, shout out to Keith.
Yeah. No, I have mine too. Maria, I love you.
We love you
Yeah, and I
guys.
think the therapy is really important. And I feel like when I got divorced, I started therapy shortly after that. And it is so important. And if anybody listening to this feels like they don't need therapy, believe me, you need it more than everybody else.
Yeah.
And it's just somebody else listening to you and giving you a perspective that you have never considered. And you're going to have a lot of aha moments because I remember I had them.
Yep.
And therapy is very important. So that's great that you were able to get
Yeah.
your daughter in and you were able to get into it.
And it's one of those judge-free people that it's just somebody that can put things in perspective to you that you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Or why am I feeling this way?
Right.
Sometimes it's so
And when they
simple
lay it
too.
out.
When
Yep.
they say it's like a cliche thing, you're like, oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, it makes
Hold on a
sense now.
second, that has some
So
weight
I'm
to it.
not really broken. I mean, I am, but I'm not. Okay, it makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know how religious you are, but would you say you can pinpoint like when God met you in your recovery?
So we were married by the church. We did it the right way. We got married. We had to do. We were Catholic, so we had to go through like 9 months of classes and everything. I was a person of faith. I had a motorcycle accident before that. Like my life is a shit show, like a cockroach.
Nah, not a shit show.
Nah.
It's exciting.
And
You'd be
I-
crazy if you heard some of my stories. Maybe not under the same
Yeah.
categories, but let me tell you.
And I remember being in church and
like
they
a
asked me
circus
to share my testimony at the time. That was heavy for me, my motorcycle accident. I shared that. And then I had cancer. And then I was like, wait, no, this is my testimony, right? And then I was secretly hiding this through all of that, through the motorcycle accident, through the cancer, through motherhood, all of that. I was hiding it. I was like, now I know that's my testimony. So I remember like, no, you didn't save me from this. You didn't save me from that. You didn't give me a healthy child that, like despite the odds she was facing, literally being in utero with
Right.
cancer, like just to die over this shit. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like I have a bigger purpose. I think I'm a joy to be around. I hear that about myself. I'm very
You
humble,
are,
guys.
yeah.
You are. You definitely are. Yeah.
Thank you. But I'm love and light. I'm always trying to like help people with their problems, even if I'm having my own. And I'm like, no, like God wants me to stay around. God
does.
has a bigger purpose for me, the
does.
universe, and I have to have faith. What it is, I don't know, and I just I had to trust fall. So when I left last year, that was me having faith that I didn't know where I was gonna put the next foot down, and it was very foggy. But I was like, I'm gonna just hope that there's a path.
And that's very important. That surrender. A lot of times we sit in situations way too long. We go through things unnecessarily because we're reluctant to surrender. And as cliche as it might sound to some people, the minute that you truly surrender and you just tell God, listen, I can't do this. I can't do this. I need you. God fulfills. God's
Yeah.
there.
Let go,
Yeah.
let God.
Let go, let God.
That's so
Amen.
true.
Amen. Oh, well, I think that we touched on some really important stuff. If you can think of anything else you want to talk about before.
I have a question for you, Erica, if you're willing to share.
Of course.
How did this kind of formulate your perspective on relationships? Like,
You
I
mean
see
growing
your
up
mom-
watching?
Yeah, so your mom go through it as the child of that.
So this was actually something that happened on a very early portion of my life, and so my mom did leave. My mom, I want to say, left probably when I was around. I think I was 4. I can't really remember. That's a very foggy portion of my life.
Yeah, of course.
But she left when I was around 4, and the reason why she left was because she looked the same way you looked at your daughter. Like, what am I doing? What am I showing her? Like, this is not okay.
Right.
And so she started saving. She's a hairstylist, so she started saving her tips, little bits of money here and there. And then from one day to the next, she just left. And one of her sisters that she did share with, I guess, at some point came down and kind of helped her. And so, I didn't see a lot with her. I saw things happen and I knew that it was wrong. And then she very luckily got into a very healthy relationship with the
that's
father who
awesome.
raised me. But I did continue having a relationship with my biological father, and I watched him go on to abuse a lot of women. Every woman that he was with, he hurt her, and he would slap them or pull them by their hair or, choke them and he didn't care that I was standing there. He didn't care that I saw these types of things. What happened was, as I grew older, I developed a lot of daddy issues because he never once yelled at me, hit me. He never would have. I mean, the way he treated women, he would never in his life.
Which you hear that a lot. You hear that
Yeah,
a lot.
That's how.
And I never
that's
feared
how it
him.
is for my daughter.
I feared what he could do to somebody else, but I never feared him towards me.
Which is wild as a father, knowing that somebody could very well do that to your daughter.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And he would never have allowed that. He
Yeah.
would have gone ape.
That's crazy.
It's funny you say that because a couple months before he hit me and broke my face, we were out and we were in a big group of friends and we were having fun. A little bar fight broke out, and me and this girl were beefing, whatever. Her boyfriend or man, whatever, walks over and throws a drink at me. I throw a drink at him. I'm like, okay, you want to be a girl? We're gonna have this little girl fight.
Right.
And when I threw the drink at him, the guy punched me in the face. And then my husband goes, "No man is gonna hit my woman." And I'm thinking,
He missed the end of that.
Yeah.
Except me.
I'm thinking,
Yeah.
are
Only
you, are
I
you
can do
serious
that.
right now? And then he's banging his chest, looking like the Hulk out here, trying
Yeah.
to kill everybody
And defend
in
you.
the room. And I'm like, in the corner, I'm like, what?
You're like, are you crazy?
I'm like, what dystopia is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, very skewed reality for him.
yeah, like her dad, and
Yeah.
he's the same way with my daughter.
Yeah.
As her dad.
So
I get that.
what ended up happening was I developed this. First off, I developed a very unhealthy way of being with men. I thought I didn't. My real dad really wasn't a great father to me. He abused women. I always felt I wasn't worthy of love. I wasn't worthy of being treated well. So I was never in an abusive relationship, but I did accept men who didn't treat me well and that didn't love me or that weren't able to show it to me because I was just not in
Like emotionally
You never
unavailable.
saw it, yeah.
I never saw it, and I never saw a healthy relationship between people. But what it did develop in me was there would never be a man that's going to touch me. There's never going to be a man that will put his hands on my friends or anybody else, which then led to kind of part of why I became a police officer. And I wanted
I had that
to
idea in my head. Yeah.
protect somebody. Like, I couldn't help my mom, and I couldn't protect these women that I would see him do these things to, so I needed to protect somebody. So I went out above and beyond and tried to protect people. So let me tell you, when I see a woman that
Oh,
I go to
man.
her house, let me tell you,
No,
I'll promise her, I may not be able to do something right this second, but I promise you I'm coming back. And I have
I mean, I
stuck
appreciate
as much
you.
as I can
I
to
didn't.
my word.
Yeah, absolutely,
I
man.
didn't
Hats
need
off to you
anyone
for that.
like you, but for everyone else who's
And I
gonna
know that
be brave enough
that's-
to call 911,
Yeah.
I appreciate that they're gonna have someone like you coming
Yeah.
out.
And I do know that there's a lot of people out there that I've showed up and they're like, you're not gonna do anything. You know how many times that I've called the police or this and they don't get the right response. But and then comes the part where I believe God puts us in people's paths for certain reasons.
Absolutely.
And you're the great protector for that. So
I
that's,
try.
That's
I try.
wonderful.
So
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you do is selfless, and I believe cops should make way more money than they make. What you guys do, I couldn't do it. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it. I have to deal with the general public, and
It's
just-
rough, but it also has its pros.
yeah. All right. Well, ladies, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you
Yeah, thank
sharing.
you.
I know that this is not easy at all, but I feel like you definitely made a difference in somebody's life. I mean,
Yeah.
you do with every conversation that you have, you know.
Mhm.
And God
Yeah.
puts us, like you said, God puts us in positions, and it's up to you, you know, like either you go off silently, which I'd have to understand that, you know what I mean? Everybody copes differently or whatever, but to go above and beyond and be willing to share, like my hat's off to you. And
Yeah.
I only knew what you told me about that. I didn't know
Yeah.
everything else you've been through. Yo,
I just-
you're a
I don't-
badass, bro.
I don't lead with it because I have a lot of great qualities. I have a lot of accolades. I want to share that. I want to be defined by those things. Like, hi, I'm a mom. Not,
Yeah.
hi, I got
Right.
my ass beat.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it. And
course.
not that I don't want to talk about it, but let me tell you the good before I tell you the
Right.
bad,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I don't want you to feel bad for me and then like.
But so you have my perspective on that, and this is the way I live my life, right? So while there are people that are going to see that, I feel like I always share whatever I want or whatever I feel helps people. And if that shuns anybody away, cool. I'd rather that person be gone quicker than they got here. So don't ever feel bad about that. You know what I mean? Like we're put on this earth to serve and help. And if you're serving and helping, you're doing God's work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you should never feel like you're gonna be labeled or whatever because you are who you are. That's it. And the
Yeah.
people that appreciate you and truly know you see that. The others that don't,
No,
Yeah.
that's
It's a waste of time.
It's good perspective, but
Yeah.
like you said, that's coming from you, and
Yeah.
Right.
we hope that there's more Lewises out there.
Yeah, but then there's also like me, very different.
for the record, I don't think anybody's asked for more Lewis's.
But I don't always lead with I'm a police officer. Like I said,
Yeah.
that's not something I really talk about. I have my lives are very split. You know,
get
who I am out here is different from who I am.
Compartmentalized.
Exactly.
Right.
Because you are very judged sometimes.
There's
and
a stigma
people
for sure.
people are not going to want to feel comfortable around me, or they're going to be like, oh my gosh, am I going to get in trouble? She's going to talk to me a certain way or try to arrest me, like she can
For
see
the record,
right
no.
through it. Yeah,
For the
exactly.
record, no.
Actually, she was running my tags when I parked
Yeah, yeah,
outside.
yeah.
I do have her idea.
She did background checks for the record on everybody.
But you don't want to be judged right away. So then that way you're like, well, if I come off starting with this, man, then they might feel bad for me. Then they're going to be like, oh my God, poor you. And that's the last thing you want.
That is for me.
Like,
That's the last thing I want. And I don't hate on the word, but I'm not personally. I don't like the word. Victim. I don't have a victim mentality.
Yeah.
And
There's
I'm
nothing wrong
like,
with
I like the term survivor.
Survivor,
more.
absolutely. I agree.
So like the way it is highlighted and stuff for cancer survivors, I think we should use that term more.
Right. I agree.
Because we're not going to be victimized. We're not going to be defined by it. Hopefully, we all get out of it, and we can look back on it and say, "I survived that." Right?
Yeah, amen. By the grace of God.
Yeah.
Well, those resources one more time, 1-800-799-SAFE, or you text START to 88788. And I didn't realize also there's thehotline.org is online. So if anybody feels like they're anywhere near that situation, those numbers are very helpful. And 911. Don't have the mentality that you're going to call the cops and they're not going to do something, because there are Ericas out there. Not
Ericas, too.
everybody's disregarding. Exactly. So just more than anything, put God before everything, and the rest falls into place. Ladies, I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That's it for us. Peace.